Welcome to the Peachtree Podcast. Peachtree Learning Center is a nonprofit in Middle Tennessee dedicated to training and discipling students in all the fine arts to become excellent and skilled in order to spread the kingdom of God into the world of the arts. On this podcast, we will discuss topics designed to encourage, uplift, educate, and equip people to proclaim the kingdom more deeply in their own families and communities. Welcome back to our podcast. We're here today again with Miss Lori Vaughn. Thanks for joining us again.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
A topic we're going to scratch the surface of, but it's a very important concept, I think, to consider the idea of receiving an art or a piece of artwork versus consuming it. Mm-hmm. There's a totally different way to look at art. So you read a book, and if you only consider how it made you feel or how you can relate to it, it's a very surface interaction with the book. Mm-hmm. And you haven't received anything from the author that's long-lasting. Or if you go up to a painting and you look at it and you think, I like it or I don't like it, that's a very surface way of responding. It's not what was the author trying to do, or why did they paint the rabbit that color, or what were they trying to do with this blue in the sunset over here. Mm-hmm. Trying to receive what the author was doing. Talk a little bit to me about the difference as you see it, especially with visual art, in receiving a piece of art versus just consuming it.
Well, this is actually something I teach in all of my classes from middle school up. Mm-hmm. I think it's important for students to understand how to walk through the steps of art criticism. Mm. That always, to them at first when I say it, sounds very negative, yes. But it's not. It is a critically, thinking critically, yes. Thank you, thinking critically about artwork. Sure. And I always explain it in such a way that this doesn't apply just to art. It applies to how you make decisions in life.
Absolutely.
And, so we walk through describing, and when you look at a piece of artwork and you describe what is there. So that's the surface,
yes,
what do you see, what's there
sure.
in the basics in our arena elements of art.
Right.
Then you begin to analyze on a deeper level, well, how are those elements organized? The principles of design, right? Looking at how the piece of artwork was put together compositionally, and does that work? And why does that work? Or why doesn't it work? Then you look at interpreting what the artist was really trying to communicate. So you're taking it out of your realm of saying, oh, I like it or not like it. You're not even there yet.
Right.
You're just looking at what did the artist intend. Now, if you know about the artist, it makes it even better because you can understand their life and the life that they've walked in, why they're creating something. And beyond that, after you've gone through those first three steps, which are very important, then you get to a judgment step of saying, I like this, but not just I like it or I don't like it, but I like it or I don't like it because I see that the artist had used color to really show this incredible mood in this painting, and they wanted to express this deep feeling in the artwork. I like that. So you're able to kind of break it down and not just look at it and go, it's great, or, ooh, that's awful. Well, maybe it's not awful. Maybe there's so much more that you're missing because you're just thinking about it in your own terms of like, oh, I like it or I don't like it, or it doesn't make me feel anything. Right. It takes you outside of just feelings.
I think one of the sad components of pop culture, and we talked a little bit in the last episode about what that is, so I won't revisit that, but one of the sad aspects of that is that it generates in us the need to have an opinion about things instantly, and also the need to have feelings inform everything we do. And the whole idea of responding to things on an emotional level and then walking away. We feed it with commercial breaks in the middle of newscasts. We feed it with I can't even think of all the examples that come to mind when I'm not on the air, but just the idea that we have to have a visceral response and then we can leave it. And the feeling is all that it was about, was just the feeling it evoked. And not having, that is leading us on a path of becoming less human. And so suddenly the ideas that we are seeing in our society of ways that we can become less human, or ways we can have other things stand in for humanity the way it was created, are palatable to us because we're used to not responding as humans.
Right.
I feel like on deep levels, we don't have friendships. We don't have family relationships the same way. We don't have generational transfer of things. We don't have patience for learning process. And we're losing those kinds of things And those are things that are aspects of being human. And part of that, I think, does inform our artistic choices. So, the concept, we don't even have children that sit through worship services patiently listening to a sermon that they might or might not get all of. We don't even do that. We have kids, we respond to them on levels only that they respond to easily. And so they're continually fed some other form of input or some other kind of motivation, or and they're never allowed to just be a little bit bored or be a little bit down or sit and think about things on their own or be quiet. We don't have quiet built into our days. We have continual stimuli all day long from the time we get up. And then we're asked to respond to that all day long. So we walk around haggard and stressed and unable to think deeply about anything. And I think it's really contributing to a throwaway type society. It's just all disposable.
Yes.
So we buy prints of art, and we never think about buying an actual piece of art that someone literally poured themselves out into the painting of, or even buying a good print of it because we want to remember what that looked like and how it made us feel. We're into buying a print, and then 5 years from now, when the color scheme doesn't work anymore, we sell it in the art sale and go get something else. Yeah. And so it's all kind of wadded up together in my mind. But the concept of just looking at a piece of art or even listening to a song, and then once we get tired of it, we go listen, find another song and listen to that one on repeat. And we can it's all disposable. And so then the artist becomes devalued. And then we don't ever develop an empathy for what that person was thinking, feeling, understanding. And that's less human too.
Oh, it really is.
We take from each other continually, and we never stop to have a relationship or receive. We just take.
Right.
And that's a different... It's a very sad thing to me.
It is.
And I live in a house with lots and lots of old books. And it did not used to be like that. So I can see it. It's like reading a time capsule or even watching an old movie or old TV shows. We've been on a kick lately at our house of watching some old TV shows from the 80s and even early 70s. And it just was not like that.
It is a different world for sure.
It's very different.
And it really is.
I think to our shame. I think on some levels it's very sad. I hope we can recover or at least have bright spots of light where it's still there, which I know God is faithful. He'll keep that going. But
an appreciation for things, as we said in the last podcast, that are beautiful and good and truthful and not just consume the most popular thing that's out there right now.
Right.
And okay, that's great. Now, Instagram, tell me the next thing that I should watch and listen to and hear and see. But really soaking in the art, the music, the stories, and just being still, taking a minute to be still. And as a believer, what does that look like? Being still with the Lord. What did Jesus do when he was tired and ragged and worn down? He went to be with the Father. Yeah. What did Jesus do when he was needed time away from the disciples? He went to be with the Father. And so that's what we need to do.
It is.
Let's be with the Father. Yes. Let's be still. Let's be quiet. Let's just be and listen. And in that, he teaches us so much. And then we're more prepared to take in what's coming at us in the world. We're more prepared.
Sympathetic with people. We have more grace for each other because we understand. We've taken ourselves out of the equation and seen what somebody else was going through or understood somebody else's point of view about something. And there used to be real dialogue and real conversation too. And we're getting to a point where we just yell at each other and the loudest voice wins. And this is, like I said on the front end, a very big, deep topic.
It is.
We can start in our own homes, especially if you're a parent with young children. Start by reading them good books that generate empathy for other people, and even pulling up paintings or finding, there are books and curricula even
wonderful
about
books.
Art and what people were doing at the time they created this art and what their culture was speaking to them about. And then you can go to music and do the same thing with music. If you do music history, you can read what culture's valued, and you can listen to music from other time periods and understand who those people were, and give the music time to kind of inculcate in you a response without just on the surface going, oh, it's 12 minutes long, it's too long, I can't listen to that.
Oh, definitely.
Because we're so used to 3 and 3.5 minutes, and
right.
There's 15-minute pieces out there that are just like whole movies. If you just sit and listen to it, it's the whole movie in that person's head who wrote it. They were telling an entire story.
It's true. It just really goes back to, in my opinion, thinking critically.
Sure, it all does.
Spending time thinking through each of those steps that I described, but applying it to all areas,
Absolutely.
not just art, like visual arts, but to all areas. And if you take time to really think and not just, scroll to the next thing.
Right. Well, and as a parent, this is a great case that we are making for introducing and keeping fine arts in your curriculum.
Oh,
so whatever that looks like in your
100%.
home, if that's studying a music instrument, or that's going to get art lessons or classes, or somehow incorporating fine arts into your family's diet on a regular basis, we're making the case for that right now, because it does inform every the way you think about everything else.
It really does.
And it's a very easy, stress-free way to do it.
It is. And we have a lot of options in our community.
We do. In our community, we have quite a few good options.
We do.
We're very blessed. Well, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much.
It's great to talk to you always.
Oh, me too.
You have a great, wonderful week, and thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. To support this podcast, please go follow us on your podcast platform of choice. And if you're interested in knowing more about the work of Peachtree, please go visit our website at peachtreelearningcenter.com for more information.